What's up, movie fans? Jonathan here with the first episode of Mukbang Matinee. We're gonna get into talking to some of our favorites of the MCU, some of the worst in the MCU, all that stuff. Danny, you got anything to say? Want to introduce yourself?
How you guys doing? So my name is Danny. Me and Jonathan have been going to the movies since we've known each other. It's a passion we both love, and not just enjoying movies, but watching films and experiencing films is something that we share a deep bond with. So I'm very happy to have you here today.
Absolutely. But not just that. Part of the mukbang is we gotta eat some food, man. We eating good today. We're trying some new stuff, some calamari. We're trying some of our favorite. It's the, what's it called?
The Zinger Mountain Melt.
Zinger Mountain Melt. We got some dessert, so we eating good. We're gonna talk about the food, how good the food is, and we're just gonna talk. We're just gonna talk like if the camera's not even here.
Exactly.
That's how we're gonna talk. So let's get into it, man. Let's taste some of this food, bro.
Let's
You tried the calamari?
yeah.
Alright, so this is squid. Started back 2008 with Iron Man. How many movies are they in now? Like 2022?
23 movies they have.
23 movies.
Exactly.
We're going to get into what do we think is the worst Marvel movie. We're going to go from the bottom all the way up to the top. We might not get in depth with the middle, but definitely with the ones that stick out the most. We'll give out some of our in-depth reviews or whatnot. Danny, what is, in your opinion, the worst MCU movie?
For me, not a surprise. Pretty sure many of you guys also have the same one, but it's The Incredible Hulk. It was a movie where the whole time it was totally mixed. It didn't know what it wanted to be. And I personally feel that we have gotten spoiled to Mark Ruffalo's Hulk because Edward Norton's Hulk is first off, his character's Banner is so boring. He plays it with no role. Eric Banner is someone who struggles with the fact that if any time Bruce Banner, my apologies.
Bruce Banner.
Anytime he tries to anything he gets excited, anytime he gets mad, he has to control his anger because if not, it can lead to destruction.
Yeah.
And he always has to act the best way in a situation where he will come down on top without violence. His Hulk persona is the opposite of that. But Edward Norton was not credible in my opinion to play.
No pun intended.
But again, his Hulk. Usually, when you see a Hulk, Mark Ruffalo's Hulk you can see him as a total opposite of his Bruce Banner persona. But with Edward Norton, I never saw that. I just saw two completely different characters aboard Bruce Banner, who, of course, he has to play him mentally, but he played him over the top, boring, no redeeming qualities. The CGI has not holding up.
I don't think so either. No.
Compared to this is the second movie compared to Iron Man, which came out first. And the
Yeah.
CGI in Iron Man
Was it the same year?
up.
2008?
It is the same year, yes. But even if it's the same year, Iron Man still holds up so much better in terms of cinematics than this movie does. Next to mention that it's a big CGI fight fest where he has to fight a dark version of himself, which is something that a lot of the MCU movies will copy from now on. And it's not one of the good qualities that they copied.
Yeah.
And it's because of this movie.
Oh, the reason I let you just ramble on is because that is my worst pick for an MCU movie is The Incredible Hulk. For a lot of the reasons that you say, almost all of the reasons that you say, I always call this movie the ugly red-headed stepchild of the MCU because as you're watching it, it doesn't feel like an MCU movie until you get to the end when Robert Downey Jr. comes in and he says we're building a team together or whatnot. Finally, it feels like an MCU movie, but in the end, I felt it was so boring. The CGI for the Hulk, it's so cartoonish that in my opinion just took me out of the movie. Edward Norton, who's such a great actor, I think an Academy Award nominated actor, and he just, he didn't come for the game. He didn't put his A game in, he just came for the money, and you know that, why? Because he never came back. I don't know if it was like some money problems that they had, but he never came back, he wasn't committed to the role, you can see it in the movie. The same with Liv Tyler. She's a great actress, Liv Tyler. But in this movie, I hated the romance. I hated the
corny.
Oh, it's so corny.
What I have as the second worst MCU movie is Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 had a very difficult task of surpassing Iron Man 1, which was the first MCU movie which got critically acclaimed, was a huge box office hit, and everybody loved it because it changed the game for superhero movies.
Started it all.
Before that, most superhero movies were about comic book characters come to life. But the Marvel tried to do something different. Try to infuse Marvel comic superheroes into our world. It had a great performance by Robert Downey Jr., who is now the most iconic Marvel character actor that we have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there will be another person who acts in this MCU who will topple the greatness of Robert Downey Jr. And it started with this humble movie. Iron Man 2 tried to dismantle that in just one movie. Iron Man 2 tried his best to be the opposite of what his first movie was. It has like two bad guys in it, both cliche.
It is
Army.
two bad guys, yeah.
We have the
not Army Hammer, Justin Hammer.
Justin Hammer played
by Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell. He does an amazing job at it, but he just plays it so goofily, tonally, that we have here, you know, Tony Stark going through one of his biggest obstacles, one of his worst enemies, alcoholism. Yet it's something that he has whole issue comic books about, and they mention it, but here they just botched it, made it into a comedy. And there's a lot of this criticism that goes into these Marvel movies where they try to force comedy to places that don't belong. And I feel like we can all compare it to Iron Man 2, where it just tries to be a funny. When it's just to be funny, it doesn't act, it doesn't feel natural. They just try to get a quick laugh from you. Whiplash is a horrible, forgettable villain, which I forgot. Played by the incredible Mickey Rourke, who's a great actor.
Yes.
Who's a great Academy Award-nominated actor, and they just wasted his talents. And at the same time, let's not forget we had a sudden change of characters from Terrence Howard, War Machine, to Don Cheadle, War Machine, and it's like it was never explained.
I mean, they say it in the movie when he goes to the court hearing and he says, "Hey, buddy, you look a little different." That's all we really needed, I guess. I can agree with a lot of your sentiments about Iron Man 2. But honestly, man, I like Iron Man 2 a lot more than most people. I do. I like it a lot more than most people. To go in depth about it, just off the top of my head, I don't know. I love the action in the movie, especially that third act. Whiplash, I feel, had an arc that could have gone so far because how Howard Stark and his father were working together, but that Howard Stark kind of like outed him and stuff like that, and they were like poor and they were living in poverty. And it's kind of like the two sons fighting each other because he forgot about my family, even though he helped your father become who he is. I like that arc, but in the end, all it really becomes is a guy who likes birds. As for me, it's got to be, next to the Incredible Hulk, it has to be Thor: The Dark World. Now, Thor: The Dark World had a lot going for it. I remember when the trailers first came out, it was the second movie after the Avengers. And there was just so much about, like, Malekith was such a cool looking villain when I was in high school and reading about him. He was so cool looking. Some of the arcs that he had with Thor in the comic books, the huge like saber-toothed tiger that he has and the fights they had, yeah. Like they're so cool. And instead with this villain, all we get is a villain that we never understand throughout the whole movie. He probably has like 3 lines of English dialogue that's supposed to make us hate him. Fine, just because he doesn't speak English. That's such an American way of saying things. But he's trying to do something that's so confusing. And it's just the writing is not there to give us enough information about what's truly happening with the convergence and the dimensions coming together. And what does he really... He wants to plunge the universe into darkness. Okay? How generic is that, first off? And second off, how's that going to work for you? The relationship of Thor and Natalie Portman's character, Jane, it's never worked for me. Now, Taika Waititi's going to bring her back, and let's see if it works then. But it just never works for me, and it doesn't work here.
The thing about Thor is that Thor: The Dark World, it tried to be the same movie it was before, but it was trying to change it to more comedy style, like in Thor Ragnarok. I see Thor: Dark World as a prototype to Thor Ragnarok, where it was a lot of comedy, but it actually worked for the benefit of the movie, unlike this movie, where the directors did not seem he didn't know how to balance the shifts of tones.
This movie, I feel, was made solely for that, to introduce the reality stone. And we need to make some, like, small BS story around it.
It's the same one as Thor: Dark World, and you said everything that I felt about it. That is my third worst MCU movie, and what I wanted to add about it was that Thor: The Dark World could have been a much better movie, because one of the things that I do give it credit for, which I still think I hold on today, is when it starts to build a relationship between Thor and Loki. Before Thanos came in, Loki was the #1 loved character or bad guy in
the MCU.
MCU. Even after Avenger Ultron, people still love Loki, even though we had great bad
People
guys.
still love Loki.
Loki, yeah. Probably now they probably will have a hard time sending him and Thanos, but we'll get to him eventually. But I think that Thor: Dark World 2 is pretty bad because of what it tried to derail. And it has some good in it, but the good is only good now because it gets fleshed out later.
My number 3 worst MCU film is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is a huge step down from the first Guardians of the Galaxy, which was such an original concept.
Okay.
They were, D-list superheroes, and here comes James Gunn, and he makes them household names. That is spicy, bro. Yeah, it's pretty spicy. Whack! Yeah, he comes in, and he makes them lovable. He makes them credible. He makes the relationships between them seem real. How these misfits, these criminals can all become friends in the end. He makes it so. But then you have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which has Kurt Russell. And it's not, I want to word this right, because it's not like the worst of like the MCU, but it's definitely not the best of the MCU. You know, like there's a lot better. Kurt Russell is one of the best Marvel villains. He's up there probably in the top 5 Marvel MCU villains. Is Kurt Russell's Ego, the Living Planet.
I agree.
Yeah. And the whole movie, it's kind of just like them on the planet, and Peter is just like playing catch with his dad, and then Gamora is like trying to like reconnect with her sister, and then Drax is trying to do something else with Mantis, and then Rocket is it's so convoluted. I feel like this movie was like the Spider-Man 3 complex, that there was too much happening at the same time that I just didn't care. I honestly can't tell you that I remember this movie through and through like other Marvel movies, honestly.
Okay. It's funny you say that because I was looking at my list and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is not going to show up for a long time from now.
Really?
Yeah, we have wild these opinions, but I'm gonna.
Wow.
I'll let you say your piece.
That's my piece.
And I understand how you feel in some ways. For me, my number 4 worst Marvel movie is the first Thor. Now, the reason I picked the first Thor is because it's just Thor himself. If we look at how much Thor has progressed, the Thor that we know now, it's almost literally hard to believe that he came from this Thor, where the director wanted to take it in a more Shakespearean, dramatical, medieval type of way, storytelling about a proud son who has cast off and he must learn to depend on others and that he is not the best. Basically, like getting his ass kicked so he can learn some self-respect to others. He has to be humbled, the humbled king. And it has been done before. And the only difference is here, let's set it in a small town with 2 of the most annoying characters played by Kat Dennings and some other guy who I forgot his name.
It's Stellan Skarsgård.
Oh my God.
Who's actually a really good actor.
Exactly. He's the commonly nominated actor. His kids are in Hollywood still even now doing movies. And they just waste his character. And Kat Dennings, such a cute, smart, funny actress, is put in the most annoying role where she's just playing to her stereotypical role. And something that I enjoyed for other Marvel movies like Guardians of the Galaxy is where it gives life and character to his other characters that are not the main character. But here, if you're not following Thor and Natalie Portman, you're wasting your time with half-acting, cokey acting, in my opinion, from a lot of these actors, where they're trying to sound like if they're in a Shakespearean play in high school or in college. Oh my God, it's just boring. It's just a low-skill movie. It's Thor, the God of Thunder. He fights a freaking glorified security robot, and that's it. Loki's introduced, so that's why it's not low on the list. Loki's an amazing actor. Probably Loki was the best thing about that movie.
Yeah.
This Thor, boring. Don't want to watch it. I almost forgot to watch it, and I don't know what to say about it.
What's my number 4? I think it might be the same thing.
Your number 4 is
Thor.
Also Thor. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, adding on to what you're saying. Hold on, let me burp. We got to give some props to Kenneth Branagh because Thor was the first MCU movie that like took place in like outer space, like in another world with gods and deities and all this stuff, right? All the other ones were semi-realistic. I think we gotta give him some props that he did the best he could with the context that he had. And I give him props for that because I could never make a movie like that. I can't. But he did, and I feel like he set the stage. But just because he set the stage doesn't mean that I'm just gonna say it's one of the best movies ever made. I know some people that really like Thor. I don't. For a lot of what you were saying, I thought it's very hokey. It's very hokey because if this takes place in the same universe when there's Iron Man and there's Captain America and there's Bruce Banner and here comes Thor and he brings like this like super like regal Elizabeth era type monologue and I know a lot of people are gonna say, oh, but I mean that's his character. I get it. It just didn't vibe with me. This is the beginning of one of the worst relationships in my opinion. The whole Natalie Portman, Jane, and Thor relationship sucked balls, bro. I remember watching this movie with Frances, and she hated it. My wife, she likes, when there's a lot of love in movies, when there's intimacy in movies. She hated the relationship of Jane Foster and Thor because she didn't find it real. She thought it was so forced at the end when like they kissed and like it's like they fall in love in a matter of a day or two. And then my number 19 is Iron Man 2. We're not going to get back into that because we just got into that.
So for my number 5 worst MCU movie, it's Iron Man 3. Now, I remember the day I saw Iron Man 3, ironically, so one of the memorable movie experiences I had was because this guy right here, he loved Iron Man. I mean, he loved Iron Man more than Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man, he loves Spider-Man. You guys know that.
Yeah.
We were looking at trailers, talking about speculations. That was the first time.
It was the first movie after the Avengers, so this was huge.
Avengers was a huge surprise, so we were all wondering, oh my god, how are they going to follow it up? Please don't drop the ball, please. It was almost something that we never seen before. We never seen a combination movie leading to a 5th movie. That was never done before. Marvel was experimental and it worked, but the next step was also important. Now, the reviews of it were mixed when it came out. And I remember first seeing it and I didn't hate it that much. I kind of liked it. I liked it a lot. But as I let it grew on me, as I watched it again and compared to other movies, I couldn't just help but be disappointed with this movie.
Really?
This movie deals with the aftermath of Avengers 1 where Iron Man has PTSD. And you would think that will leave some edge to the movie or give him some character development or it has some great action scenes. And you were right about some of those, but you couldn't just ignore how this movie was so boring and insignificant.
Boy, if you don't...
Because it led us to believe that one of the best actors of our time, Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley, was it Kingsley? He was portrayed in the trailers as the main bad guy. Or
the Mandarin.
The Mandarin, who's probably one of the most famous Iron Man villains that people know even without knowing about the Mandarin.
Yo, say it. Say the famous line.
You'll never see me coming. And boy, was he right, because we never saw him. He was never in there. What? Can you tell me what role did Ben Kingsley play in this movie instead of the Great Mandarin?
He was a twist, bro.
He was a twist to have people write articles about. You will never believe this twist. And for some reason, those articles always had the picture of Rhodey being chained up. And I thought, oh my God, Rhodey's gonna die.
Oh my God, they're really trying to get this Oscar nomination.
And they were having time. And that's the thing. This movie could have had. And I'm not just not mad that they rickrolled us. The problem was that they tried to hide the fact that they rickrolled us by putting another villain who I didn't care about. His name was
Aldrich Killian.
Aldrich Killian, played by
Guy Pearce,
which one of the most forgettable bad guy performances. Him saying, I am the Mandarin, was embarrassing until he got knocked out by Pepper, which was an awesome scene.
Alright, bro. You know what? I don't have my list on me right now, but Iron Man 3 is a good movie.
You didn't put it that high up, though. You put it like a couple high up.
Iron Man 3 is not the best movie. I'm not saying that. But it's not bad, okay? Like, I will defend Iron Man 3. I am an evangelist for Iron Man 3, okay? And I was one of those people that hated the twist at first. But it grew on me. And it's a twist. I love Iron Man 3, bro. I'm sorry, but I think just the personal story of Tony Stark and his PTSD and how, you know what? Who am I if I don't have the suit? Who am I if I don't have the suit? And the whole movie, I think, just does it so perfectly of showing us that he is perfectly capable of being Tony Stark. That Tony Stark is Iron Man, and Iron Man is Tony Stark.
The thing is that Iron Man 3, let's not be honest, probably one of the most least impactful of the series. I mean, in the ending, he destroys all of his Iron Man
Yeah,
suits.
okay, I'll give you
And
that.
then in Iron Man, and then the next time we see Iron Man in Avengers Ultron, he has his suits back and much more. Boy, was that a big.
Okay, but at first, when you're watching the movie and then you see Age of Ultron, sure, I'll give you that criticism. But when you watch Civil War, it explains the reason why he did that, because he thought he could get rid of all the suits, that he is Iron Man with or without the suit. He thought, but he couldn't. He couldn't do it. And that's why his relationship with Cap got ruined. That's why his relationship with Pepper got ruined, that we never saw her till like Homecoming, I think was the next time we saw her.
Yes.
It's because he just couldn't let go of the suit. That even though he was slowly becoming the Tony Stark that we know and love, that he is Iron Man, he was still having a hard time letting go of that suit. And so I'll give you the criticism when we first left the movie and then we went to go see Age of Ultron a year or two later, how it's like, wait, are you going to explain? Because Age of Ultron doesn't explain why he has his suit back.
And he has a whole factory, by the way, of them at the Avengers Tower.
Yeah.
Maybe he moved it from his house into the Avengers Tower.
But I think they did a good job of answering it in other movies. I like Iron Man 3. I do.